The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Ladies and gentlemen, this broadcast is made possible by the Spreely Network. It is the network, Spreely, for free thought and free people. I want you to go to your app store and download their Freedom Hub. Do it today, ladies and gentlemen. It's much too important. We depend on you. Freedom is waiting. The Freedom Hub from Spreely. Believe it. For the Republic. Cheers. Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Right Side with Doug Billings. Thanks for watching from around the planet. Today on the program, the radical left is blowing up, crumbling, faltering right before our very eyes. Millions of people leaving that party, coming over to the right side. In Georgia, the Democratic Communist Socialist Party basically giving up on the 2024 presidential election, not spending any more money down there because Trump's lead is so significant and so far ahead of Administrator Biden. We're going to talk about it. The New York Times is reporting that story. Also, why in the world aren't we holding the church responsible for what they are not doing? We're going to talk about it. As a Catholic, I'm going to talk about the Catholic Church, what they're not doing, and the infiltration into the leadership and the hierarchy that we all need to be concerned about. All of that coming up today. Ladies and gentlemen, The Right Side with Doug Billings is now upon you. Are you ready? Let's go.
Hey everybody, my name is General Mike Flynn, and I'm here to do a big shout out for my great friend and one of the best in the business, Mr. Doug Billings. Right Side with Doug Billings, Right Side with Doug Billings. Doug is the future of the airwaves when it comes to independent broadcasters and podcasters. He is the new Rush Limbaugh. He's exactly what America needs right now, looking for honesty, looking for wisdom, looking for truth, looking for patriotism. Listen to Doug Billings at Right Side with Doug Billings. God bless you and God bless America, and thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are winning. We're winning, winning, winning. Welcome to The Right Side with Doug Billings. Are you ready?
We are not liberal snowflakes who melt away in the face of tragedy, adversity, and challenge. We are a covenant nation under God, and His divine providence is not dead and it's not gone. It is living within each and every one of you. And you will bring it to life in such a way that the world has never seen before. We never back down. We never give up. We march forward.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Right Side with Doug Billings. Thanks for watching us from around the planet. I appreciate you very much. Today, ladies and gentlemen, as we look at the chaos that has been purposefully put forth, by the way, by the Communist Socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party in the United States, there can be no doubt among any of you out there, anybody who has any shred of intellectual capacity, that they're steering this republic away from the intent of God and the founding fathers. That is as clear as day. They've said as much out loud. We don't even have to speculate or hypothesize about this. This is what they want to do. They've said it in words. We see it now in the actions. And I've given multiple hours to you on this program describing who, what, when, all of that. Who's responsible for the turmoil, the anarchy, and the tyranny that we're facing. And you know full well who's responsible for the chaos and the crisis in America and around the world. It's the radical left woke liberals and their agenda. And thankfully that it's getting so bad that many more of you are waking up than there were in the previous years. We've been at this in February. It'll be 4 years that we've done this show, and more people waking up. We are the remnant. We're the ones who get it, who understand. And it's now time to focus not just on this Communist Socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, but it's time to focus on another group who are equally guilty of the catastrophic crisis and chaos that we face. And that is the Republican Party. And more specifically, the Republicans in elected office in Washington, D.C., who are rhinos, who have done little to nothing to try to stop the chaos, the madness, the abject anti-America rhetoric coming from the left and from the rhino core of the elected class. I'm tired of Republicans giving speeches when the only purpose of them is to create a soundbite for social media, for mainstream news outlets, and so forth. They have no intention of getting involved in doing anything of any substance. Josh Hawley, he gives a great speech, great sound bites, but he's done nothing of any substance with regards to stopping the radical left agenda. Jim Jordan, a great guy who gives a great speech, but a guy who has issued little to nothing to do with regards to stopping the radical left woke agenda or holding those accountable who have done great harm to this country. Lindsey Graham, please. Every time Trump is in earshot, he says the right things, but he's a neocon. He's part of the establishment swamp. I mean, for crying out loud, Lindsey Graham believes that Ukraine is the good guy over there. Mitch McConnell, really? He's almost as cognizant as Biden, which is not to say much. You all know that he's tried to impede President Trump on multiple occasions with regards to the candidates that Trump has endorsed and so forth. Let me be clear about how much America needs MAGA, making America great again. And let me be clear about how love of America is not defined when elected officials in Washington, D.C. continually vote to deepen our national debt. That does not display a love of America or Americans. When they refuse to balance our budget, does not display a love of America or a love of Americans. You don't display love of America or Americans when elected officials in Washington, D.C. vote for or refuse to stop discussions about the Green New Deal. No elected official in Washington, D.C. who refuses to stop our open border policy truly loves America. The days of us being able to use the word Republican as a category of political philosophy held by particular persons are long gone. We have such a problem with rhinos in the elected class, ladies and gentlemen, that we need to look at other adjectives, really, to describe who we are as American patriots. And for me, I don't consider myself a Republican any longer. I consider myself a conservative, America First patriot. And yes, I'm someone who believes in MAGA. Making America great again is not a sin. And in fact, there's nothing that can be said about the MAGA movement that would render it somehow corrupt or anti-America or a cult, as the left would put it. Anyone who labels MAGA, the MAGA movement, as any of that, a cult, corrupt, anti-America, is simply and categorically intellectually immature. And they're politicizing what they want to happen themselves as opposed to what we as Americans. Look, they can't align with the American Constitution, the radical left. They cannot. They want to do away with it. Evidence of the obvious is sufficient. Look at what they're doing. They've said as much. They're going to fundamentally transform America. Why would anyone say that? America does not need to be fundamentally transformed. As we see this wave of patriotism sweeping the world, in fact, we can look at several places for inspiration about how the left has pushed us to the point now where people are waking up to the tyranny and to the chaos. I mean, you look at Argentina, you have Javier Milei over there. You can look to the Netherlands with Geert Wilders. People of Ireland rising up, Belgium rising up. They're all taking their own version of MAGA, making their own countries great again. And they should. And what this really boils down to is what I call the Trump effect. The New York Times, ladies and gentlemen, the liberal speaking post of the radical left is reporting that for all practical purposes, the Communist Socialist, formerly known as Democrat parties in Georgia, that their bid for presidency down there with Biden is basically, for all intents and purposes, over. Trump's leading so much, and there's so much apathy towards Biden that they're throwing in the towel in Georgia. They're basically saying, don't even bother. Don't bother spending any money down here in Georgia, speaking to their National Democratic Conference, where it's pretty much wrapped up down here. And it's not good. Trump's got it, right? How is that possible? when you look at it and think about it, we now have members of the radical left groups, just to give you some evidence of how this is possible. Last week, one of the founders of Black Lives Matter, a guy who founded a chapter up in Rhode Island, announced that he is endorsing and supporting President Trump. Really? And more importantly, this Black Lives Matter founder, Mark Fisher is his name, he commented on the vast numbers of Black Americans who are doing exactly what he's doing, abandoning Biden, abandoning the liberal party, and supporting Trump. And in Georgia, where it appears Trump has a monumental lead, they are lockstep with one another. The people of Georgia voting for, proclaiming support for President Trump. Take a look at this clip. Number one, it's going to start out in a cafe where the reporter from Fox News is asking people who they're voting for. Every one of them, Trump, Trump, Trump. And then we get to hear from this Mark Fisher, the founder of the Black Lives Matter chapter in Rhode Island, and his thoughts on the entire situation. So let's take a look. Clip number one, ladies and gentlemen.
What about you, sir?
Donald Trump.
Ditto. Ditto? What about you?
Same.
You think Donald Trump's going to win? What about
Yes, sir. I think so, too.
So, of course, we're in Georgia, and it's pretty much Trump country. So I'm not surprised that you got a lot of folks that feel like Donald Trump is going to win. Black Lives Matter, Rhode Island, Mark Fisher. Mark, thanks so much for joining the program. This is my favorite story of the day because it identifies with what I've seen in the barbershop. All the brothers, for some reason right now, are turning tides right now. And I just wonder, what is the big reason?
I think personally, it's the duplicity of the Democrats, the hypocrisy. We're not stupid. The brothers are not stupid. We understand when someone's for us and when someone is not. And it's obvious that the Democratic Party is not for us.
Yeah, I can't.
Their policies actually strike at the heart of the Black family and the nuclear family.
Yeah, so, you were a part of Black Lives Matter. You founded it there. And now you're saying, you're not saying the entire Republican Party. You're saying Donald Trump. So what is it about Donald Trump? Is it the economics? You noted the Black family. What is it going to take for him to shore up this support amongst Black voters?
Well, I just think that it's going to take information. A lot of people are misinformed. They don't really understand because they don't educate themselves on Donald Trump as a person and his history. But if they do that, and it's going to take, leaders, educated leaders, getting the word out there, I think that it'll happen on its own and it'll be organic because personally, I love the man. I mean, how could you not if a real man, how could you not relate to someone like that?
All right. So that confirms much of what I've told you for the past 4 years, that the Communist Socialist Party, formerly known as Democrat, is not in alignment with us. They're not in alignment with traditional family values, with traditional moral values. They're not in alignment with the biological certainty that you're either a man or a woman. God didn't misassign you with your gender at birth, ladies and gentlemen. They're not in touch, and Black Americans are speaking up against it. More on this when we come back. I've got to take a break. We went a little long this section. Ladies and gentlemen, stay with me. I'll be right back. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Hey, folks, don't look now, but you're being lied to. Wall Street financial gurus are out there screaming to max out your 401k, max out your IRA. Yet the man who invented the 401k is saying, no, that's a failed experiment. In fact, we ought to scrub the entire 401k program. It's time for you to get the truth, ladies and gentlemen. Bank on yourself is a better way to grow and protect your hard-earned money. This retirement plan alternative has never had a losing year in over 160 years. Guaranteed, predictable growth and retirement income with Bank on Yourself. Your plan doesn't go backwards when markets tumble, folks. Your principal and your growth are locked in. Tax-free retirement income. You'll know exactly what your tax rate is in retirement. 0 under current tax law, which will protect you against the upcoming and inevitable tax tsunami. You're in control. You can get a hold of your money, access it, withdraw it anytime you want for any reason with no government penalties, no government restrictions. Try doing that with your 401k or your IRA. You can't. And almost anybody can do this. Built-in inflation protection. Your money is guaranteed to grow by a larger dollar amount every single year in both good times and in bad. I mean, do you want guaranteed, predictable annual growth? Predictable growth of your money. Tax-free retirement income. Do you want all of that? Of course you do. Then go to bankonyourself.com/Doug. We will send you a free report with this proven retirement plan alternative that banks and Wall Street hope you never hear about. bankonyourself.com/Doug. Do it today, ladies and gentlemen, for your free report. Believe it. For the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that you could change the trajectory of your aging process? Look and feel better, live younger, be more active, less pain when you move around, sleep better, diminish the lines and the wrinkles on your face? Really? This is what I'm telling you. It's possible. You see, low stem cell activity happens when we get older, and it could be causing many of the health problems that some people have in the world today. Because as we get older, we have less stem cell activity, which means we age faster and we heal slower. The secret is a clinically proven and patented phototherapy non-transdermal patch, whose technology is the result of over 90 clinical studies and over 20 years of research. Your healthier life can begin today, and you can discover true age reversal. Age reversal, ladies and gentlemen. Please go to liveyongerwithdoug.us. liveyongerwithdoug.us, ladies and gentlemen. Get over there today. Or if you'd like, text my name, Doug, to 41372. Doug, text it, 41372. And get over to liveyongerwithdoug.us. Get younger, feel younger. I'm doing it. I'm wearing this patch. I feel great, and so will you. God bless you, ladies and gentlemen. For the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings. The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to The Right Side with Doug Billings. I'm the shining light of American exceptionalism and intellectual capital right here. You can get it all of that right here on the program. Ladies and gentlemen, the radical left, we saw the clip, the Black Lives Matter founder in Rhode Island, Mark Fisher, Black Americans not on board with the radical left woke agenda. I have wondered for decades, how is it possible that any minority group could vote for the Democratic Party when all they do is harm you? All they do is keep you enslaved to government entitlements. How can any Christian be a Democrat? The truth is you can't be. You cannot have Christian values. You can't have traditional American moral values and align with this communist socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party. They are completely contrary to what we believe in, from a Christian perspective to a common sense perspective to intellectual maturity, that you can't. They are not part of what we believe in, and more people are waking up to that. And that's what we're seeing around the world, in fact. We have a member here of the Black community in Mark Fisher, someone who has seen the light and the truth that light that the light that truth sheds on issues like this. That the communist socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, is destroying the fabric of American society, and in his case, the Black family. They are destroying Black families. The radical left woke agenda doesn't even call for the role of fatherhood. And he's right about this, ladies and gentlemen. You're seeing this throughout the country. People by the millions are running away from Administrator Biden, and they're running towards Trump. And a lot of it has to do with this stuff of traditional moral and American values, but it also has to do with the unrelenting persecution of President Trump. They are martyring him right before our eyes, and the American people doesn't like that. We don't like seeing people martyred. He becomes now one of us, Trump does, because of these indictments. I mentioned earlier that the New York Times is reporting that in the state of Georgia, the Communist Socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, has all but given up the Biden campaign for presidency in 2024, and they've admitted that the Trump lead is insurmountable. Check it out. Go get yourself a copy of the New York Times. Look it up. Last week, they have all but quit spending money in Georgia for the presidency, citing the fact that voters are apathetic towards Administrator Biden. How could anybody be excited watching Administrator Biden? It's impossible. The guy has no charisma. And you factor in the endorsements of this guy, Mark Fisher, the Rhode Island founder of Black Lives Matter, and you have a perfect illustration of what's happening to this coalition of immorality. This Communist Socialist Party base, it's falling apart. It's disintegrating. The weak-minded, the victims of intellectual immaturity out there lambasting President Trump. Why is he taking an endorsement from a Black Lives Matter founder? What's wrong with him? This is what we can't do. Wrong. Those are from the weak-minded folks, those kinds of comments. They miss the entire point. Of course, in this case, it's a brilliant and strategic idea, and it's much needed by President Trump to accept the endorsement of this guy. He should embrace it. Embrace the endorsement because of what the endorsement means. That it represents that Black Americans are waking up to the corruption, the chaos, and the tyranny that has been thrust upon us by the Democratic, now the Communist Socialist Party. And what he said, what Mark Fisher said, is that this party with Biden is losing the support of millions of other core electoral base members of the party. They're even saying that the majority of non-white men are now voting for Biden, which is a key demographic, or at least it was, for this Democrat, now the Communist Socialist Party. And the truth is, when you really look at history, from the very beginning of it, this Democratic Party has never cared for American people. They've never cared for minority groups. How could anybody care for you if they want to enslave you and keep you down with regards to entitlement programs? Don't work, don't get a job, we'll give you everything for free. That represses you. It keeps you locked down in the slavery of entitlement. They don't want you to be free and experience the wonder, the joy, the meaning that capitalism can bring you in your life. And they certainly don't want you to engage in capitalism, because capitalism, founded by God, mind you, is fueling and is meant to fuel the economy of the republic. And they can't have that. None of their policies, none of their platforms, none of their politics ever put forth by the Democratic Party have ever been ultimately good for anybody. They dress it up and it looks good, and it might sound like it's good initially. We're going to give you Social Security. We're going to give you free health care. We're going to give you free education. Enslavement. We, even as far as taking care of people with aid after accidents and so forth, hurricane relief, and it's always the government that rushes in. You know what the founders intended? The founders intended that our country, our republic, would be so woven together with the traditional moral values of Christianity that we would come to the aid of each other, and that neighbor would help neighbor. If a tornado, a fire, a hurricane struck you and your neighbors, the surrounding communities within the county would come and help you rebuild, not the federal government. This is what we've lost. And it's been a slow etching away of that core, that Rockwellian vision of Americana, where we take care of each other, where we know our neighbors' names, where we go borrow a cup of sugar from the neighbor down the street, right? We go borrow a couple of eggs. Hey, go ask Mrs. Johnson if I can borrow 2 eggs. I remember specifically my mother asking these questions when I was a kid. We would go and do that in our neighborhoods. We knew each other. We would sit on the front porch. We would talk with our neighbors as they passed by. We always would talk with the police officers as kids. But this Communist Socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, has isolated us away, and they've used government to isolate us from each other. Government will take care of you. We will send aid. We must take care of all. That's not what it was intended to be. You see, the beauty of traditional American values is that we care for one another. The Republicans have lost the high ground only because we're the ones that care for each other. Ultimately, the Democrats don't, but they've had a better PR campaign because they have the media on their side. The policies, the platforms, and the politics of the radical left do not bring happiness, wonder, and joy to anybody. If you think that you love somebody in the transgender community or that you embrace the LGBTQ community mantra and agenda and that you're helping people by doing it, you're mistaken. You've been seduced by multiple sources, the Democratic Party and the devil himself. That is no way to happiness. Transgenderism will not lead to happiness. Mutilating your genitalia is ridiculous. God doesn't make mistakes. You should be partnering with your children to understand mental illness when it strikes, not embracing it and saying, I accept my child for who he or she is, or who she was meant to be, or he was meant to be. That's ridiculous. Having them say that they are now a boy or a girl when they were born the opposite gender is the same thing as me saying I'm Napoleon Bonaparte. It's the same mental illness. Embrace your children and love them and guide them towards the truth. Don't guide them towards mutilation of their genitalia with the hopes and the thought that that will bring them happiness, wonder, and joy in life, because it will not. You don't love your kids by giving in to that kind of agenda, ladies and gentlemen. Your Christianity does not run concurrent with that. It flies in the face of it. Your belief in Jesus and God does not allow you to embrace your child so that she or he can mutilate their bodies because they think that God, the creator of the universe, misassigned their gender. That's not only the height of cruelty, it's intellectually immature. It's got to stop, and we've got to begin to stand up and say so. I'm up against another break. Gosh, time flies. We're having fun. We're on fire for the truth here. I'll be right back. Right after this. God bless you. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Hi, everybody. Hey, Doug Billings here. Are you like me and spending over $100 a month on streaming platforms, streaming services? I mean, you want to watch sports, you want to watch specials on TV, you want to watch movies, you want to have the classic TV channels, you want to have your local channels, you want to watch your favorite sports team, whatever it may be. And you're paying over $100 a month to all these various people. Some of them may only charge you $10 a month, but that's just one. You subscribe to 10 of those, and it's a lot of money. It's too much money. I have a patriot company named Q Streaming, C-U-E, Q Streaming, that bundles all of these availabilities, your favorite local channels, all of your local channels, no matter what city you're in. Sports, even the pay-per-view sports, so you don't even have to pay the pay-per-view fee. Movie channels, like I said, sporting events, specials, it's all right there. I want you to go to therightside.myqstreaming.com. therightside.myqstreaming.com. Q, C-U-E, streaming. Q Streaming, ladies and gentlemen, $59.99 a month for everything. Your local football, baseball, hockey, basketball, college sports, everything. Bally Sports, the NFL Network, the Major League Networks, all of it. My Q Streaming. And the website is therightside.myqstreaming.com. Get over there. Save yourself some money. Cancel all those other platforms. My Q Streaming is a Patriot-owned service. The Right Side. myqstreaming.com. God bless you, ladies and gentlemen, for the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings. The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to The Right Side with Doug Billings. A few days ago, I had the chance to sit down with Michael Hichborn of the LaPlanto Institute. Now, the LaPlanto Institute is a Catholic organization that looks at groups within the Catholic Church and vets them for their consistency with Christian ideals and identity, with Catholic traditions and identity, and so forth. You know me, I'm a Catholic. I believe in the church. I think that it comes to us from Jesus Christ and that the apostles instituted it. And for 2,000 years, it's been the church that Jesus intended for his people. The fact that he started it, gave the keys to the kingdom of heaven to Peter. What you hold on earth will be held in heaven. What you set loose on earth will be set loose in heaven. I give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. All of those things, Jesus told Peter. The church will prevail. Nothing will take away the priesthood from the church. Now, it's left in the hands of human beings who are not perfect. And as a result of that, the church makes mistakes. Now, the church with a capital C is in God's hands, and it's safely secured there. But on earth, within its hierarchy, sometimes the human beings left in charge make mistakes. And sometimes they're susceptible to being infiltrated. The church, I think, has been infiltrated by the woke agenda in many ways. I think that Pope Francis had a lot of great high hopes for him initially. I think he's probably in alignment with a lot of the communist and socialist platforms and politics and policies out there that, quite frankly, don't align with Christianity. And so Michael Hichborn with the LaPlanto Institute looks at Catholic organizations and investigates them to hold them accountable to being true to Catholic Christian tradition. So my interview with him is coming right up. Enjoy. Michael Hichborn. Michael, welcome to the program.
Thanks so much for having me on, Doug.
Michael, you're with the LaPlanto Institute. First of all, why don't we start there? Just give us the Reader's Digest version of your biography and the organization, the institute for which you work.
Sure. I am a husband and father of 8 children. I live in Virginia, and that's the most important thing anyway.
Amen.
Everything else, I spent... I have a degree in political science and economics from Christendom College. I have a master's in education. I spent 8 years working for American Life League, where I started conducting investigations into organizations that were promoting abortion, contraception, and that kind of thing. And as I was conducting these investigations, what started to come up is that there were charitable organizations and Christian and even Catholic organizations that we were discovering that were also involved in the promotion of abortion and contraception. And so I started digging a little bit and found an organization called the Catholic Campaign for Human Development was regularly contributing funds to organizations promoting abortion, contraception, homosexuality, Marxism. And then I looked into Catholic Relief Services and I found similar problems. Then I looked into Catholic Charities, and then I looked into the Vatican's own agency that is the umbrella group for all the international aid and development agencies of all the Catholic dioceses around the world, called Caritas Internationalis. And I found that they were on the executive steering committee of an international communist organization called the World Social Forum. So the scope of my research had gotten so broad and so outside the very narrow mission of American Life League, which really was to focus on pro-life movement in America, that we had a conversation, and it was decided that really we need to take my investigations to a new level, and I can't do that at American Life League because their mission is much more narrow. So I founded the LaPlanto Institute based on the investigations I'd been conducting with American Life League, and I've been doing that for the past 8 years now.
And so for as two Catholic guys talking to each other, just before we came on the air, we were introducing ourselves to one another. I told you that back in the day, I was in the seminary, I studied to be a priest. I still go to mass every morning here in my local parish. I believe in the church. I believe that Jesus gifted us this church. He started it. It was instituted by the apostles, gave the keys to Peter. Right there, it says it clear as day. I give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven. And what you hold bound on earth shall be held bound in heaven, and what you set loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven, et cetera, et cetera. We have the institution of the Mass on Holy Thursday. This is my body. This is my blood, the new covenant. I believe in the church. I believe that there's been a set of keys given to us. And I also believe that since the church is run, led, and managed by human beings, it will never be a perfect institution. It's because humans are not perfect, right? We are not a perfect people. We're just not. And so the church, therefore, on earth, in all of its greatness, can't really be perfected because of human beings leading it. We have a duty, though, to call out the leaders within the church who are not credible, who are not authentic in their roles as Catholic leaders. I, for one, don't believe it's possible. And Father James Altman was the first one to say this. I give him all the credit. You can't be a Catholic and be a Democrat. The policies, the platforms, and the procedures of the Democratic Party are in direct opposition for almost everything that the Catholic Church stands for. Indeed, all of Christianity stands for. So when I say things like that to a guy like you, Michael, what comes to mind?
Well, I actually wrote an article back in 2021, the title, and it was published in Crisis Magazine. The title is, should Catholic bishops formally condemn the Democrat Party? And what I did is I went through piece by piece to show how the Catholic Church formally condemned communism. The Catholic Church formally condemned Nazism. In fact, with the enforcement of canon law, made it to the point that anybody who joined the Communist Party was automatically excommunicated. Anybody who participated in the Nazi Party, automatically excommunicated. I showed that the Catholic Church had forbidden membership in Freemasonry. And I gave all of the reasons why all of these condemnations were in place. And I then went to the Democrat Party platform, and what I showed was step by step how each of these things within the Democrat Party platform itself were contrary to the church's teachings on many levels, and that these teachings, the violation of these teachings, would be on the level of an excommunicable offense to the degree of heresy, because it's a denial of the church's teachings and precepts. So the everything that you said about you can't be a Catholic and a Democrat, 100%. So that's very much in line with what we do at the LaPlanto Institute.
So with regards to, because so much comes to mind, I mean, I'm sure, like you, I have a certain circle of friends who are Catholic. Some of these guys I went to seminary with. Some of them are priests currently. Some of them are not. Some of them are laymen in married people and families and so forth. One of them in particular comes to mind, my best friend, in fact, and he feels certain that Francis has been called by God to be Pope at this time, that he likes Francis. He views Francis as a person who's welcoming all types of people in. And I think that's a slippery slope, because in my mind, I think of, wait a minute, the LGBTQ kook community, for example, comes to mind, transgenderism, humanism. Why does Pope Francis, Jorge Bergoglio, and as our mutual friend James Altman would call him, Father Altman calls him, why would he be going to Davos to look into climate change? Why does he go to the World Economic Forum meetings? And he is, I believe, a communist. Would you agree?
I do.
And I'm talking about Pope Francis. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think so. And I'll give you some evidence, solid evidence. We did a video report about 2 years ago that was on Pope Francis's fourth World Meeting of Popular Movements, where he invited a bunch of different organizations, popular movement organizations, into the Vatican. They all held a meeting and he gave an address to them. The Vatican produced a video about this meeting where they highlighted a bunch of these different organizations, one of which was called MST. MST is the Brazilian Socialist Party. And they profiled a woman who was a member of MST in the Vatican video. Her name is Ceres Hadich. And she was talking about what MST does and how, what they really, it was a very soft pitch kind of interview. Well, I went to Ceres Hadich's social media page to see what she was about. And the very first thing that I found was that she participated in something. She was part of a video that was produced by MST for Red Book Day. Red Book Day is a celebration of the day that the Communist Manifesto was written. And there she was with her husband and her two young sons reading aloud portions of the Communist Manifesto like it was the Bible. And as she was reading it aloud, the Communist Internationale was playing in the background. MST had regular photographs of Karl Marx with MST hats on. But that's not the only one. We found about 6 different organizations that participated in the World Meeting of Popular Movements that were active communists. This is not hyperbole here. We're talking people that themselves laud Karl Marx, that they talked about the need and the importance of communism and how they are working towards a communist state. These are their own words. Pope Francis, in his address, called these organizations a veritable invisible army, and he exhorted them to do what they are doing, which is to cause revolution throughout the world.
All right, well, that's part 1 of our interview with Michael Hichborn of the LaPlanto Institute. We will be right back with part 2 of that interview right after this. Stay with me. Cheers. Well, that was part 1 of our conversation with Michael Hichborn of the LaPlanto Institute. Stay with us. Got to take a quick break. We'll be right back with the conclusion of my interview with this interesting Michael Hichborn and the LaPlanto Institute. Stay with me. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Hi, everybody. Doug Billings here on the set of my show, The Right Side. I am standing shoulder to shoulder with Mike Lindell and his employees over at mypillow.com. Use the promo code Billings when you go over there to mypillow.com. Everything that you need. You already know about the sheets, the pillows, obviously the pillows, the slippers, the best slippers in the world, ladies and gentlemen. They even have dog beds and pet beds over there. I've got 2 of them for my service dog, Jet. Absolutely, I do. MyPillow.com. Stand shoulder to shoulder with me and Mike Lindell as we support his employees as he endeavors to become one of the refounders, if you will, one of the refounding fathers of our republic. It's the least we can do. MyPillow.com, promo code Billings. Please, ladies and gentlemen, MyPillow.com, promo code Billings. Believe it, for the republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
So when I say that I strongly suspect Pope Francis of being an actual communist, this is Exhibit A. I mean, you don't get much more clear than hosting active communists, known communists, who are 100% condemned by the church ipso facto as apostates. 1948 condemnation still stands that those who join the Communist Party are excommunicated as apostates. So for him to invite them into the Vatican, to hold this meeting and to exhort them to actually continue doing what they're doing, I don't know how you can escape the charge of communism at this point.
You know, our deposit of faith, we go back to the time of Christ itself. That's where our very roots begin, right there. So we're steeped in this tradition. We're steeped in the hierarchy of the church. How do lay people like us begin to affect a change amongst our friends first, and then the church itself?
Well, first of all, we have to start with the cessation of the excuses for sinning. It goes back to the very basic tenet of all moral theology within the church, which is that you can never do an evil, no matter how small the evil, for any good, no matter how great the good. It is never, ever morally illicit to perform any kind of evil for a greater good. So when we look at things like what's going on with Catholic charities, we'll just take a quick example. Catholic charities, what are they doing? They do all this immigration stuff. And on the surface, okay, it's great. We want to help immigrants. We want immigrants to, have a place to settle and have a place to work. And that's okay. You might be a well-minded individual to think that would be something that would be good. And in general, there's nothing wrong with that. The problem comes with the very first premise that somebody who comes across the border illegally without any vetting can be resettled in the United States and have that be a morally illicit act. No, you first must obey. Aquinas makes this very clear with regard to immigration, that it starts with the law. You have to follow proper law, proper procedure. And there are people who come into this country legally, licitly, and they do well. They thrive in this country, and I love them for it. But when you come across the border illegally and you want to circumvent the system, there's a reason for that. There's a reason these people do not want to go through the legal process. The majority of the guys that are coming across the border are military-aged men who have an ideological attachment either to sex trafficking, drug trafficking, or militancy. These are people who actually believe in revolution and they want to participate and help spark revolution in this country. A lot of them are criminals, but they're not being vetted. There are so many people coming across the border. I've been in contact with people who know border agents down on the border, and they're being told that Catholic Charities is helping people across the border that are known child sex traffickers, that are coming across the border with children that they know are not theirs, but they're not asking any questions. They're simply resettling. And why? Because they're getting funding for it. They're getting paid to do this. This isn't charity. By the way, charity starts with doing something for the good of another without any recourse to yourself. That's the definition of charity. The Catholic Campaign for Human Development was established in 1969 in the Archdiocese of Chicago. It was started as a national collection by the USCCB in, I think, 1972. The collection was established to finance Saul Alinsky's community organizing groups. That's why it was founded. We've been investigating, I've personally been investigating CCHD for 15 years. I have, for the last 8 years, produced a series of reports for the LaPlanto Institute about CCHD-funded organizations. The most recent one that we did is an organization called Planting Justice. Now, the Catholic Campaign for Human Development, the bishops that support it, they all regularly tell people, pay no attention to LaPlanto Institute. We've looked into their reports. Everything that they're saying is quote unquote unfounded. That's the phrase they use. And they also then reiterate, we have an application process. We have a vetting process. It's a thorough process. We're always looking through everything about this organization to make sure that they're not against the church. Planting Justice in 2013 held a staff meeting. They wrote about this on their own website. It was readily available. We found it right away. On Transgender Day of Remembrance, they erected an altar with a pagan idol on it, had 2 pentagrams in this idol or in this altar, and then they recited prayers to demons, including Baphomet, which is best known as the deity associated with Satanism. And they prayed to these deities for these transgender people who had died for the year 2013. I don't know what kind of vetting was done for this organization, but any organization that engages in active demon worship should be 100% permanently banned from Catholic funding. I don't care how much time has passed. So for the CCHD to say, we have a thorough vetting process and we monitor these grants very closely, they're indicting themselves. They're saying they are guilty by turning a blind eye or actually willfully accepting that, yes, they do this and we like it.
Where can people find you?
If they go to our website, lepantoin.org, they can find our charity reports list. We have over 130 different organizations that we have profiled, marked them either safe or not safe for Catholic funding. Sign up for our newsletter and just keep a regular watch of our website and see what kind of revelations and reports we put out next.
Wonderful. We'll do that. And we'll have that up on the screen during the course of the interview so folks can jot that down. Michael, I can't thank you enough. I appreciate the work that you're doing for the church, for the public, and as I've said before, we're here to build up the kingdom of heaven on earth in any way we can, and we're all in this together to that effect. So I appreciate you very much. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks so much. God bless you and your audience.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of good food for thought there. Again, Catholic guy, believes in the church. I believe that all of us Christians, whatever our denominations, we've got to remain together and unified and bring back American traditional values, American Christian values, and we worship the God of the universe within all of this. We come to God every day in determined prayer and determined patriotism. That's how we prevail. We are the only ones. The conservative America First movement is the only political movement that aligns with God and the founding fathers, and we can take great comfort in that. Let's unite. Let's unite as Christians and march forward, holding everyone church leaders in the hierarchy, and each other accountable to Jesus, to Christian values, to one another, and to the republic that he founded. God bless you, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you next time on The Right Side. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings. The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that you could change the trajectory of your aging process? Look and feel better, live younger, be more active, less pain when you move around, sleep better, diminish the lines and the wrinkles on your face? Really? This is what I'm telling you. It's possible. You see, low stem cell activity happens when we get older, and it could be causing many of the health problems that some people have in the world today. Because as we get older, we have less stem cell activity, which means we age faster and we heal slower. The secret is a clinically proven and patented phototherapy non-transdermal patch, whose technology is the result of over 90 clinical studies and over 20 years of research. Your healthier life can begin today, and you can discover true age reversal. Age reversal, ladies and gentlemen. Please go to liveyoungerwithdoug.us. liveyoungerwithdoug.us, ladies and gentlemen. Get over there today. Or if you'd like, text my name, Doug, to 41372. Doug, text it, 41372. And get over to liveyoungerwithdoug.us. Get younger, feel younger. I'm doing it. I'm wearing this patch. I feel great. And so will you. God bless you, ladies and gentlemen. For the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.